Greetings to you all. I am the African teacher welcoming you to this another edition of the Wake Up Call right here on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. So coming up in this show is thought-provoking but very educating content as usual. Before we get deep into the show, I would love to give a warning to everyone to fasten your seatbelts, because if you don't know the African teacher, you might end up hurting us, because sometimes our words that comes from our mouth or the content that is in this show can change your life. So please back up your seatbelts, because we need you to listen to what we have for you today. So stick right there, as the show will be very educating, very entertaining, and also very, very informing.
African Eyes strives to comply with rules of the online broadcasting regulations by providing news that is accurate, content that has been proven to be true, and programming that is fair and unbiased. If you feel like we do not comply to this, please contact us with your complaints addressed to African Eyes, 41 Horingbeck Avenue, Kulenburg Park, Randfontein, 1759, South Africa. Email us on info@africaneyes.co.za. African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio.
African Eyes Radio would like to inform all our valued listeners that due to the load shedding that has gripped our part of the world is affecting our programming frequency. We therefore apologize and urge you to stay tuned.
Find us on our social media platforms. Our handles are African Eyes Radio on Facebook. On Instagram, we are African_Eyes_Media. Find us on Twitter as African Eyes MDIA. Like and share and subscribe to our African Eyes Media YouTube channel. Send us commentary via WhatsApp line 067 108 7045. Stay in touch, stay live, stay wired with African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio.
Welcome back to the show, the morning breakfast show, the wake up call right here on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio. So if you have just joined us, please remember to buckle up your seatbelts, because this program can change your mind. And yes, of course, a lot of interesting things, very educative and entertaining things coming up, lined up for you in this show from the hour of 7 to the hour of 8. That's the truth hour, the hour that we dedicate in search of knowledge, the hour that we speak the truth. And somewhere there in the hour, from the hour of 8 to 9, we do have a feature that is called the Unsung Heroes. This is the hour that we dedicate to our heroes and sheroes that we never had time to recognize their greatness in terms of the struggle, the black struggle. And due to that, we ended up, missing the content or the message that they carried, only to realize later on that they played also an important role in our struggle, our liberation struggle. So we dedicate that hour to them. So we do have news, music, and of course the feature called the Unsung Heroes of the Days. Stick right there, be with me, don't leave me alone as we are in this journey, the journey in search of knowledge. All right, in one of the shows, I played a clip some few days back in the feature of the Unsung Heroes, whereby I was featuring Dr. BINGU MUNTHARIKA. In the clip, he mentioned that he is aware of the problems of his country, Malawi, and he also knows the solution to the problems of the country of Malawi, but he doesn't have the means. Right, so I want to play the clip again so that we should listen together and try to understand what he was saying. This is the Wake Up Call on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio, with me, of course, the African teacher.
I know the problems of Malawi and I know the solutions, but I may not have the means. I know the problems of Malawi and I know the solutions, but I may not have the means. I know the problems of Malawi and I know the solutions, but I may not have the means.
All right, so that's the clip in one of our previous shows, especially in that segment of the unsung heroes. The voice that you have heard in that clip is the voice of the former president of the Republic of Malawi, Dr. BINGU MUNTHARIKA. And in this clip, part of that clip, he is saying that he is aware of the problems of Malawi, and he is also aware of the solutions to the problems of his country, but he may not have the means. So as the African teacher, when I listened to this clip, I was left out with so many questions in my mind that this is the leader that we have all entrusted to lead us to the better world. This is the number one citizen of the country. All our eyes are on him so that it should take us from this condition to a better condition. Very good that he knows our problems, and it's also good that he is aware of the solutions to the problems that we are facing as a country. But what did he mean when he said that he does not have the means? So jumping into the dictionary, looking out for the meaning of the word, the means, this is what I find out. All right, so the means, an action or system by which a result is achieved, simply a method. Number two, it's talking about financial resources or income. So our president literally meant that he does not have an action, or he does not have the finances or resources to resolve our problems. So the question that came in my mind is, if the president of the country does not have an action or does not have a plan to uplift the living standards of its citizen, this is the president, the head of the government, does not have a plan or finances or resources to uplift the living standard of its citizens, then the question comes to me again, who runs our governments? All right, so I will play again a part in his words from the very same speech on the same day.
Let me start off by saying that Africa is not a poor continent. I've said this contrary to what others believe, and I would like to repeat. Africa is not a poor continent. It is the people of Africa that are poor. I'm saying this because if you look at the resources we have, we could get out of poverty. But much of these resources are not being processed on the continent. They've been shipped throughout the years, the last 50, 60, 70 years. They're creating employment and trade in industrialized countries, and Africa still remains poor. As a matter of fact, we get very low prices for our primary commodities. We are then processed in Europe and North America, create employment there, and the product is sent back to Africa at several times the prices. So we're losing twice. First, on the low prices of our commodities, secondly, on the high price of the finished products that we are getting.
Yes, looking at the natural resources that we have, Africa is supposed to be rich, but these minerals are being shipped to Europe and then being processed there and comes back to us, and then we buy them at a higher prices. We are really losing twice here. That's what Dr. BINGU MUNTHARIKA has or had to say in this clip. A continent that is minerally rich, but the people are so poor. That makes me wonder who manages our natural resources. Remember, this is the late Dr. BINGU MUNTHARIKA, who was the president of Malawi. Are really our governments independent? But according to Dr. BINGU MUNTHARIKA, it seems like our governments are not independent. The word independence means free from outside control, and if the prices of our resources is being controlled from the outside, this literally means that our governments are not independent enough to be independent, because the system itself is the one that is corrupt. Minerals that are supposed to enhance the living standards of the people, the indigenous people of that country, are being shipped outside of the country to Europe, whereby they will be processed there, creating employment up there, and then they will come back here for sale at a price that an ordinary person would not even afford to buy them. The system of governance is the one that is hindering the progress of the African countries. Remember, this is the African Teacher on African Eyes Radio, your revolutionary radio.